friends! Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Tonight's episode, part 2 of building a Reddit clone with Vue.js, Vuex, and Firebase Firestore. Let's get right into it. I am in a completely and totally new space today. I'm in New York City. I'm at a place that I work. There's loud people all around me. Hopefully you can't hear them that much. But thanks for tuning in. And please let me know if there's any issues with my video or my audio, because I just set it up like 5 minutes ago. That's why I'm running a little bit late. But hello, welcome. And you can notice I'm back on this side of the screen instead of the other side of the screen. Cool. But if you have not seen, I think I did this last week, or maybe the week before, at some point in the past, I did an episode where I started to build a full stack Reddit clone using Firebase, Firestore, Vue.js, and Bulma for the UI kit. I think you can see it at seedling.now.sh. I believe that's what we officially decided to call it. And it's very basic. So right now I'm actually already logged in. Let me just do this. I'll log out. When you're not logged in, you can still see everything. You can look at the pics subreddit. There's some issues, like it doesn't actually show the user's name or their image, but we're going to fix that today. I believe, I may not have deployed it, but Kaizen actually, I think it was Kaizen, made a contribution where if you're not logged in, you actually don't see this submit form. I believe we could try to submit something, and this will actually fail because we're not logged in. So part of what we did last time was set up these rules so that you can't post anything unless you're logged in. We have just our basic subreddits here, like general, JavaScript, pics, and if we are logged in, it logs in with Google. So I'm gonna log in. Oh, that's my work account. I'm gonna go to Gmail. Now that I'm logged in, I can actually submit something. So let's upload something to funny, toggle form. Why did the chicken cross the road? Do you know? I could come up with a witty answer, but I'm just going to say to get to the other side. As a demonstration, I can click Add Post, and then it actually gets added here. You'll notice, yeah, I guess I haven't deployed the latest changes, but Kaizen did make a submission that made the date formatted, so it says like time ago, and then also made it so that the form doesn't work if you're not logged in. Let me catch up on the chat. Do this. Sorry. I just have a weird setup today. Oh yeah, my flux is on. Actually, let me turn that off. You may notice that my screen has like a yellow tint. Now it's gone. That's quick plug. It's an app that I use that at nighttime it makes your screen yellowish and removes blue light. Actually makes it easier to sleep. But let me catch up on chat. Hello, Rodrigo. Welcome. Hello, Beatnik. AB, welcome to the stream. Merchan. He said, ooh, is that Flux? Yes, it was Flux. My head looks very crisp. I decided to shave it right before I took off to New York City, mainly so I won't have to get a haircut for a few weeks. Yeah, and Rodrigo just mentioned white looks orange on the screen. And it was because I had Flux enabled. I disabled it though, so it should be good to go. And yeah, thanks everyone for sticking around, saying hello. Let me just fix this over here. There's actually someone that's running for office. They did like a meet and greet rally thing here tonight, so it was really loud a while ago. I think they're done now, so we won't hear them that much. Here we go. Okay. So if we look at our to-do list, actually, and I can show the contributions that Kaizen made. Let me run the app locally, and we can see those differences. So we'll go into Reddit client and do an npm run serve. Okay, the app is running. Let's check it out. View subreddits, here they are. And now you notice I'm not logged in, so if I go to a subreddit, I don't even see the form at all. And I think Kaizen added like the rounded corners and a little bit of the spacing. Something is off though, in that it's only 2 columns when maybe it should be 3. We might have to fix that. So there's that. And then he also made it so it said the actual time ago instead of like that weird formatted object. And we can see again, well, that was funny. What about r/JavaScript? Yeah, and I think some people have been submitting stuff. It's not a totally usable app yet, but people have been submitting things. And I'm gonna want to fix this column issue too. But if we log in with Google, we actually can add things to it. Now that we go somewhere, we can actually see the form and submit to it. Cool. Let's get started. So if we look at our README, we can see what we've done so far. We've done basically what I've showed you, but what I have on the list is first show usernames. So right now it just says John Smith, and there's like a placeholder image. We want to be able to show the user's display name and their image on every single post. So we'll do that. So usernames and images. Then we want to be able to upvote and downvote posts. So right now it's just submitting, and I believe it's in order of when it was submitted. But we'll make it so that you can order it by upvoting or downvoting, or also order it by when it's created. And then we'll start working on being able to add comments to an individual post. Lots of other things on the list, like viewing an individual user's profile, but let's first get started with showing the usernames. So instead of just showing @JohnSmith, we'll actually show like CJR, or the name of the user that posted it. Let's go to the Firebase console. I have my Reddit clone I created last time. We can look at our database. We can see that it has some data in there. We also set up these rules last time kind of as we went and locked it down so that only a user that created a given post can update that given post. Users can only update their own user ID. You can't overwrite other people's. And then the entire database is read for everyone, so even people that aren't logged in can see the data. But if we look at our posts have a user ID on them. And each post has a user ID. Kaizen was working on potentially adding usernames in here, but what I want to do is I want to keep it so that it's just the user ID in the post table. And then on the client side, we can request the users, I guess I called it a table, it's really like a document store. We can have these users on our client side and then by their ID show their name and show their image. So let's work on that. And there's Nick, hello, and you're welcome for your help. I'm really glad you're learning the full stack and all that. It's a good thing to know, and it excites me. I like that people are out there learning and doing good things. So, first things first, let's set up the store. And I guess before I move any further, this is our relationship diagram. It's a bit complicated, but this is kind of what I was showing. Let's take a quick stretch. Whew. So you'll notice these lines. These are relationships between the document stores. And basically a post has a user ID and a subreddit ID, and I guess those are the only two relations, but those IDs belong to a unique subreddit and a unique user. So any given post, we can then look up in the user's document store to find the user with that ID and then show their given image and name. So that's what we're going to work on right now. So on the client side, in our store, we're probably going to want to set up another submodule in Vuex for users. Our Vuex store is using Vuex Fire. It's using the alpha version of that, which is a Vuex library that automatically syncs with Firebase, Firestore. And we do have some submodules. We have our auth submodule, our submodule for managing subreddits, our submodule for managing a subreddit. We will now make a submodule just specifically for dealing with and syncing users. So if we take a look at subreddits, this is a pretty simple one. We're going to do something very similar for users, so I'm just going to copy this. Let's copy it. Let's paste it, rename it to be users.js. And the state of the user submodule will just be an array of users. And when it is init, we're going to get the users collection. This references users on state, and we're going to grab the users collection from Firebase. So looking at the console here, this is the users collection, and this one line of code here basically syncs up all of these users with this array on my state. That's all I got to do. Now I have access to all the users. Yeah, and so Rodrigo is asking, is Firebase NoSQL or SQL, and can it be an alternative to Postgres or MongoDB? So Firebase is NoSQL, and typically could be like a database as a service replacement for MongoDB. There might be certain reasons why you want to use your own Mongo database. I mean, typically if you're using something like MongoDB, you're more in control and like in control of the server, whereas something like Firebase is you don't really even have access to the server. It's just they provide it as a service to you. You have no idea about the backend implementation details. Okay, so this is our basic submodule that's going to connect to users. Let's now bring it into our root store. So if we go to index.js, right in here we also need to bring in users. And then we'll add users as a module. And it's important that we do have namespace here, so that's how we'll actually get the data from it. In our app.vue, I believe somewhere in our app we are initializing subreddits. Let's see where we're doing that. I think we might be doing that on the home page. Not the home page. Subreddits. Yeah. So this is initting the subreddits. We have to decide when do we actually want to sync the users with the front end. We could do it on the home page here. Let's do it. We'll do it on the subreddit page because this makes sense. Like when you load a specific subreddit, you're going to need to know the user so that you can actually load their user data. So let's do this. We're going to bring in this first this init action from users. So we'll bring that into our subreddit component. If we look at map actions, this is bringing in all of the actions from subreddit, but we also want to bring in actions from users. So we're going to bring in users, and we're going to bring in init. Now, by doing this, there is now just a method on our component called init. We might actually want to call this init users, and there's a way to alias it. So if we create an object and we say, we'll call it init users is init. I might have this backwards. I might have to flop those two. But basically this says, or I'm trying to make it say, grab the init action from the user submodule and put it on a method called init users. And then when this thing is mounted, we can do this dot init users, and that should call the init in the store. Let's go ahead and just log to make sure that this is happening. This is happening. And let's see if it happens. So if I go to a specific subreddit, let's zoom out here. JavaScript. This is happening. Okay, so it actually is syncing the users. And if we look at the Vuex dev tools, we should be able to see our state, and we see that users actually has an array of 16 users, and they're all in there synced with the backend. Now, I'm going to do this for now, but in a larger application, you probably will have hundreds, maybe thousands of users, and you really wouldn't want to sync all of those with the front end. You would only want to sync or get the ones that have posts that you're looking at right now. For now, this will be fine, but later on, we will want to make it so that we don't have all the users, we only get the users that we need. Cool. So we have all the users now. Let's actually, so we could just bring this array into state, but one thing I want to do is for any given post, I want to show that user's name and image. So instead of just having an array, I'm going to create a getter that turns this array into an object where the keys are the IDs, so I can just simply ask for the user with that ID. So let's create a getter. So we have our getters. We're going to create a getter called, let's say, users by ID. And I believe this takes in the state. I might have to look at the docs. Let's look at the docs. So the Vuex docs will tell us on a getter, what do we have access to? No, not that. Vuex, course of concepts, getters. Cool, yeah, so we have access to states, we can actually access them. So what we want to do is turn this array into an object where the IDs are the keys in the object and the values are the users themselves. So this is a perfect use case for reduce. So I'm going to return state.users.reduce, and we're going to be reducing to an object called by ID. We're going to get access to each individual user. And the accumulator starts off as an object. This is our accumulator. We're going to say by ID at user.id equals user. And actually, I think it's UID. We'll double check. And then we want to return by ID, because that's what you do with reduce. Let's look at our database and make sure, yeah, so users have an ID property. So basically, we're going to be creating an object where the properties are the IDs and the values are the users. Cool. So that's there. And now in here, we actually want to bring in users by ID from the users module. So let's do a map getters. Well, actually, this map getters should work. So this is already looking at subreddit. And there are multiple ways to do this. You notice here I have two map states. One is looking at this submodule. This is looking at the other submodule. This map getters is passing it an object and saying from the subreddit module, we want this specific getter. So I should be able to say from users, users by ID, this is saying from the subreddit module, grab the subreddit getter. So we'll say from users, grab the users by ID. And that should give us access to that object that we just created. Cool. Tycho, welcome to the stream. Gagan Deep asks, how can I get to your level? Your JS skills are amazing. Lots of practice, lots of coding, lots of mistakes, lots of apps. It takes time. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me is like I've just constantly built things and just have not stopped. I've sucked at it. I still kind of suck at it, but I just keep building things. And for me, that's what works. I would say never. One of the biggest things for me, and like what I tell my students to, is try not to be comfortable. Like you always want to feel like there's just something more you can learn, or you always want to feel like you're not the best at what you're doing, because then you'll constantly strive to get better, maybe to your own detriment. But I even feel like right now, like I have so much to learn. So that I keep that mentality, I think, is kind of the biggest thing. Okay. So we're bringing in users by ID. Let's see if we can actually access it. Something might have broken in the process here, but let's try it out. So instead of showing just John Smith, where are we showing John Smith? So we have post title, post description. Oh, sorry, that's the, that was the form. Right here is where we have John Smith. So instead of showing John Smith, let's say users by ID at post.user_ID. Let's see what happens. Let's go to JavaScript. And it broke because we need to put that in handlebars. So let's do this. Type error, cannot read property this of undefined. So somehow users by ID, yeah, unknown getter, user/users by ID. So that didn't work in terms of bringing in users by ID. One thing that I know is going to work is by doing this. Kaizen's the one that wrote this map getters. I blame him, but it's okay. So I can do map getters. You can, and the thing is, you can have multiple map getters. So I want to go to users and grab the users by ID. This should work. JavaScript, no, pix. Unknown getter users slash users by ID. Let's make sure that I called it that. Oh, I didn't put getters in export. That's the main issue. Okay, so let's go back to what we had, where it was in here. And then the issue is I actually can't forget to put getters down here exported, so it's actually part of the submodule. All right, JavaScript. Hey, cool. So you'll notice we're bringing in a giant object right there, but the thing we want actually is the name. So here in the view, we can just say users by ID dot name. Hey, so Rodrigo posted that and Kaizen posted that. Cool, so we can actually see the names now. Now it should be pretty easy to pull the image in too, because we already have the users by ID. So users by ID here, and instead of this placeholder image, let's just throw in users by ID dot, I think we called it image URL? Well, we might have to double check, and we'll bind that. Let's look at what we called it. It's just image, so image. Look at that. We got user images, we got usernames. It's too easy. Too easy. Andreas, hello, welcome to the stream. Yeah, this is pretty great. Look at that. Andreas has some posts, CJ has some posts, Rodrigo has some posts. I love it. Okay, that's awesome. Let's definitely check a box because we're bringing in, and let's double check that this works for all subreddits. I think one issue might be when Kaizen was working on this, a few posts might have gotten created that don't have user IDs, so that'll break it. No offense, Kaizen, but I might actually delete those posts. But actually, props and much appreciated to Kaizen for making a pull request. After the last episode, he pulled it down and tried to do a little bit of work on it, which was much appreciated. Okay, so that one still has the user ID. That has the user ID. That has the user ID. Okay, we should be good. Let's try all the subreddits. If we look at funny, yeah, cannot read property image of undefined, so it wasn't able to find that user. Let's see which one broke. One thing we could do, and we probably should do, is on the back end, we can create rules that actually validate the data, that make sure that they have a user ID and they have a title and they have a subtitle. We're not doing that right now. This is a lot. I'm just looking at which one might not have a user ID. Okay, that has it. That has it. Yeah. User ID. Let's take a quick stretch. Is that your real name? Are you talking to me? Ran, hey Ran, welcome to the stream. Yeah, Merchan is saying the only issue is Vue is like a completely different language in and of itself, especially if you're not familiar with using this kind of syntax in like a Vue or a template. For me, I did Angular 1 for over 4 years, and this is very similar to what I did in Angular 1. So to me, it's like second nature. It's like, yes, this makes so much sense. But if you come from React or anything that doesn't really do this kind of templating, it's a little weird. Okay, all of these have user IDs. We might just have to add a check in here, but cannot read property image of undefined, which means right here, post.userid doesn't actually exist. So, here's what we could do. We could, like, let's just do this real quick. So let's actually go back to what the placeholder image was. And it could be that that user doesn't have an image. Maybe that's it. That user does not have an image set. But here's what we can do. We can say, if that exists, then grab their image. Otherwise, use this placeholder image. So this is really ugly because it's like right inside of the template, but this should actually work. Let's see. And so if we go to r/funny, now let's see who has the placeholder image. No one does. What's going on? Is there anything that's hidden? So we got that. No. I'm not seeing it. Weird. Let's look at these other subreddits. Cannot read property name of undefined. Okay, so somehow a post got in here that doesn't have a name too. We could do a similar thing. I'm gonna extract these to methods because I don't like this much logic in my template. But we'll just get it working real quick and then I'll extract it. So if that exists, then grab their name. Otherwise, unknown. Is that in pics? Oh, you know what? It could be that users isn't loaded. Yeah, that's absolutely it. Because that's absolutely it. This object hasn't been synced yet. And so if we load posts before we actually load users, then it's not going to exist in there. Okay. I think the way I'm going to fix that right now is, so that's it. So all of our users actually do have images and names, but what's happening is the posts are loading before the user data loads. So it's trying to like get that user from that object. It doesn't actually exist yet because the users haven't been synced. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to create a simple little method called like get user with post.userID. And this is going to be a computed that checks users by ID, and if it's not there, returns like a loading user. Otherwise, it'll just return the user itself. So get user, I'm going to make a computed property on subreddit. Going to be inline right here. So get user, pass in the ID. I'll say if this dot users by ID at that ID actually exists, let's return that. Otherwise, let's return like a fake little object where the name is loading and the image is like that placeholder image. Did I get rid of it? Did I paste it? No. Let's go get that placeholder image. I think it's like on Bulba. Daniel says, I like your hair situation. Well, from Kristen. Appreciate it. Let's look at the docs. I know in elements there might be images. Yeah. What is this image? No, let's grab this image address. Yeah, that should work. Okay, so vm.getUser is not defined. Oh. Okay, can you Here's the issue. Can you create a computed that accepts a parameter? I don't think so, because typically computeds are not methods. They are just use like properties, and they automatically update. let's Google this. Hey Sanjay, welcome to the stream. But let's Google this. So we actually want a computed property that we pass a parameter into. Let's do Vue.js computed property pass param. Can I pass parameters in computed properties? You should use methods. Yeah, but the thing is, the user is not going to change. You can pass arguments to computed properties this way, not documented but suggested by maintainers. So we're using a closure, I think. So it returns a function which, okay. Well. But we can't actually pass that value in. Oh, Tycho says, uh-oh, stroking of the beard. Yeah, this happens and I don't even realize it. Let's see. Okay, I have an idea. Or do I? Let's do this. We'll say, okay, we're gonna get weird with it, but here's what we need to do. So we're gonna have a computed property in here, another one called like loaded users by ID, and it doesn't accept a parameter. This is actually going to similarly return an object where the keys are the IDs and the values are the user, but inside of here we need to check and see if users by ID has that specific user inside of it. So here's my thinking. So we need to reduce. So we're going to return this dot posts, because basically the posts have the user IDs in them. So we need to get all of the unique IDs from the posts. So we'll say this dot posts dot really reduce, and we're trying to grab the users by ID, and we get the post, and we'll say by ID at post.user_ID equals, and we'll check users by ID. So we'll say if users by ID has post.user_ID, then we'll set it to that. Or we're going to set it to this loading object. And there we're going to return by ID. Right? So what this will do is we're building up an object of all of the unique IDs of the posts. And because this is in a computed, this will automatically get called again when users by ID actually does have data inside of it. Let's see if this works. So now in here, instead of doing a function call, we actually just use bracket notation, because we are returning an object from here. Bracket notation. Let's see what happens. Did I break it? We have users by ID is not defined. We need to say this dot users by ID. This dot. Pix. Hey, seems to be working. Andrea says, that's why I don't like growing my beard too long, or mustache. Makes me crazy. Yeah. The thing is, I mentioned it. I do this without even realizing that I do it. And it's typically when I'm in deep thought or something like that. Yeah, I don't think there's a mustache emoji. Maybe there's there actually are emoji proposals. Let's see if there's one for a mustache. There's the man emoji. Yeah, so Unicode proposals for the mustache emoji. Submitted in 2017. Unicode proposals is proposals for new characters to encode and canonic character sequences to register. So I bet you could probably make a pull request or open an issue with an emoji you think should exist here. That's pretty cool. Okay, but let's kind of review what we just did there, because I think we figured this out. Because basically, on any given page, users might not be loaded yet. So what we do, and it happens so slow. Let's fake it. Let's make it take even longer. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put this code inside of like a set timeout. I'm gonna do like a set timeout. And here, inside of there, we'll set the ref, but we'll do this like in 4 seconds. So for 4 seconds, every single user should show up as loading. Yeah, so loading and then like a blank image, and then after 4 seconds, finally we get the data so it loads in. So basically what we've done there is we've solved like a race condition. The UI wanted those images and posts and names to exist, but they didn't yet. So what we did was we returned like a fake object. And then because this is a computed property, automatically when users by ID actually does have a value, this computed property will rerun, and then we'll actually get the real user value. So that's pretty cool. Let's see it happen again. If we go to like general, well, they're already loaded. Once you've visited one subreddit, then they're already loaded. But if you refresh the page totally, the first subreddit you view, it has to wait to actually load those users. Cool, cool. All right, let me get rid of that set timeout because that's unnecessary. Awesome. Okay, let's check some boxes. I spent a lot more time on that than I wanted to, but we're showing usernames, we're showing images, upvote and downvote posts. Okay, before we do that, I want to fix the formatting. Right now, it's only 2 across, and it really should be 3 across. So I want to figure out why that's happening. Let's look at it, though. I think it could be, so this is doing column is for, but have we set some sort of is there some sort of margin that got set? Yeah, card set 1% margin, which is pushing them to the next line. So we need to figure out some other way. Actually, I think if we did padding 1%, nope, that's internal. We can figure this out. Actually, I think I know what we'll do. So right now, this is the card, and this has is for on it. What we'll do is we'll give it a parent div that is for, and then the card inside of it. Well, the thing inside of it will be a card. So here's what we do. So we got a div. We do class, well, column is for on this div. So that, and then our v4 is actually going to be on this outer div, and then now we just put this div inside of that div. Let's take a quick stretch. And the main reason we're doing this is because we want the parent to take up 4 columns, and then inside of it, a card has 1% margin, so it should have a little bit of spacing on it. Where is the parent? That's the one. So we'll take all of this and put it inside of there. Let's do a little bit of tabby. Hey, that's nice. Very nice. And let's go back. Looking decent. I guess one thing we could do is make this like 100% height. Let's see what that would look like. Like if we gave, let's see. Yeah, because the column takes up the whole, but if we give card, let's see if we give card height of 100%, how does that look? That's decent. It's a little wonky for some of the posts that have longer ones, but I think we'll do that. So let's do this. Inside of this component, on our styles, let's also give card a height of 100%. I feel like slightly more confident in my CSS today. I think like the first few things I tried actually worked. That's great. Looks way nicer. Yes, definitely. Cool. Oh wait, I somehow submitted that. Oh, I am so original. I totally forgot that 10 days ago I actually did the exact same joke in r/funny. Cool. Cool. All right. That's great. It's looking great. Here's what I'll do. I'll deploy this because it does have some latest stuffs. So locally, I'll do an npm run build. I'll take a drink of water. Rodrigo is asking, where is my post on Funny? I'll find it. So we just built, let's go in the dist folder and then deploy this with now. Do I need to update now? But I should deploy. And then I'll do a now alias that with seedling. Okay, so now we're on the interwebs. Rodrigo. Oh, okay. So Rodrigo tried posting without being logged in and it disappeared. Now, with the latest deployed version, if you're not logged in, you shouldn't even see a post form. Oh, there it is. This is what CJ looks like coding today. That was 10 days ago. Cool. But if you are, so notice how I'm not logged in, you don't see the form, but if you are logged in, then you should see the submission form for that given subreddit. Awesome. All right, let's check some boxes. Fix card formatting. I think that's what we just did. Here's what I'll do. Let me go ahead and push this up to GitHub too. Sparkles, show user image and name. Card formatting. There is no logged out message. I guess that's true. So the only thing you see when you're logged out is the fact that there is no image. So it just says login with Google. And I think if you go to the home page, yeah, so if you're not logged in, the only way to know is if you look in the nav bar. But now it won't even show the submission form. So that should be better because you won't accidentally create something when you're not logged in. Okay. I could work on upvoting and downvoting posts. What is going to be the most bang for my buck? Like what's going to look cool? And let's look at this. So we could do upvoting and downvoting. We could add comments. We could show user profiles. So like you could click a user and then see every post that user has made, or every. Well, right now they technically might not have upvotes or comments, but you could click a user and see their individual posts. You could edit a post. We could do like searching or filtering of posts. Actually, let's do this because it's going to be really easy to do locally, especially right now that we don't have a lot of posts. Because we can actually just do a client-side filter, and as a user starts typing, we just hide and show the cards based on what they're typing in. That'll be pretty cool and easy to do. And then after that, we'll decide if we want to do comments or voting. But let's do search and filter real quick. So we are on like an individual subreddit. So let's say like right below the submission form, we'll have like a simple little form for searching or like filtering the posts that you can see. So let's add a little form. We'll do nice little input like this. The label will be search. The model will be like search term. It's not required. Let's see what happens. Oh, we need to start it back up. Oh, npm run dev. npm run serve. Okay, so on a subreddit, yeah. That's kind of it. Let's give it a little bit of margin on top. I don't know if we have a class for that, but let's give this a class of like search form. And then on the search form, we'll give this a margin top of 2 ems. Cool, so that looks decent. And here's what I want to do. I want to be able to just start typing something. Hey! I just saw that. CJ is thinking too much today. That's great. But as I start typing, we should hide and only show posts that match whatever the user just typed in. So let's do that. We will have on our data the search term. So here I'll do search term. Initially it's empty. And then we need a computed property that only show posts that match the given search term. So we are going to have another computed called, let's call it filtered posts. And first thing is we'll check to see if there is a search term. So we'll say if this dot search term, then we need to do some filtering. Otherwise, we're just going to return this dot posts as is, meaning just keep the array as it is. Don't no need to filter it or anything like that. However, if there is a search term, we're going to say this dot posts dot filter. So this is just a higher order method where we can pick out only the posts that match this given search term. So we want to return this. We'll say this dot post dot filter. We get the posts, and let's just do a right now we'll do a super basic. We'll say post return post dot title dot includes this dot search term. So if the post title has what the user has typed in exactly, like they have to match capitalization and everything, then show that post. Let's see what this does. Well, first thing is now filtered post is what we're going to want to v4 over. So instead of just looking at posts, we'll look at filtered posts. Okay, we'll look at JavaScript. All right, so woo. But the moment I type an extra O, it goes away. And you'll notice it has to be exact case. Like if I do woohoo, it doesn't match it. And this right now is only searching the title. Like, so if I do error, we don't see it. But if I do error handling, cool. Tycho is asking, am I using Bootstrap Vue? I'm actually using Vuex and Bulma, but it just so happens that I don't seem to be using many features of Vuex. Vuex is the Vue wrapper around Bulma. Morning, John. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, and Andreas mentions like if we are adding upvoting and downvoting, how exactly are we going to sort the posts? We might do a like left to right like this. So like this has a higher score than this, which has a higher score than this, which has a, so it goes like that, if that makes sense. But let's fix this filtering real quick because we don't want the user to have to be case sensitive. We want to search the content and the title, not necessarily just the just the title. So let's do this. So in our computed filtered posts here, let's first create a regular expression. So I'm going to say regexp is a new regexp, and we're going to pass in this .search term. But when you create a regular expression like this, you can also pass in if it is first global, meaning search the whole thing, and case insensitive I. So this is now a regular expression that will also be case insensitive. Case insensitive. So to use that here, we could just do title.match regexp. And now this should do a case insensitive search. So now we can type error handling without having it capitalized. So that's great. But we also want to search the text. Let's see what that's called. Let's go back to our console. Excuse me. I'm tired. Had a long day. Hey Brooks, welcome to the stream. Hello. Oh, my shirt is sparkling and no one told me. Let me fix that real quick. There we go. That's better, right? Not too bad? Okay. This is the wrong project. That just created a whole new project. I think this was like an older one that I had deleted. Here we go. This is the one we're looking for. So I wanted to see on any given post, they might also have title, and then sometimes they have, what is it, text? Description. So here's what we can do. Instead of just searching post.title, we could just add them together. So let's say search the post.title and the post.description and see if anywhere in either the title or the description does it match what the user has typed in. So now this should filter errors management or months or newbie. So now we're filtering across posts. Pretty cool. Awesome. Okay, that was fun. Let me go ahead and deploy that too. Actually, let me fix these linter errors before I do anything. npm run lint -- fix. Okay. 25 errors, 2 warnings found. So that fixed some things, but yeah, I should fix these errors before I do push up any more code. Let's fix them. Unexpected string concatenation of literals. So that subreddit.view line 149. Here. Oh. Well, we also have a template literal that doesn't need to be a template literal. Oh, I guess it does. That's what I was complaining about. That didn't need to be concatenated. Some stuff happening in the chat. But Tycho asks, will the lack of a space between the title and description mess up matches? I wasn't paying attention to the regex. It shouldn't, because the regex is global and case insensitive. So even if there is no space, if you're searching for like the start of the description, it will still match against that. So I guess, for example, well, let's start this thing back up. So like on this one, if I search for the word no, it still matches, even though that would have been concatenated, and like this is like would be immediately after the title, mainly because I did a global search. And then Merchan is asking or saying, I know this is not a search engine project, but how would one prioritize matching the titles before the descriptions? Yeah, so maybe we could, okay, I think I understand what you're saying. So we list, if it matches in the title, list that first. If it matches in the description, list that after anything where it matched in the title. Because we're now prioritizing, like, the title is more important than the description. That would be tricky. One way I might approach it here is to, one, have a filtered post computed, but then you maybe have another computed that does sorting. And when you are filtering, you might assign, a sort score to the thing that just got filtered. So like, instead of doing a combination here, we might say, okay, does it match the title? And then give it a sort score of 1. And then if it matches the description 2, give it a sort score of 2. So that way it has like extra priority, or something like that. So you could assign a specific score based on what it did match, and then in your sort algorithm, use that score based on the filter. That'd be one way to do it. There are probably a million other ways to do it too. Some of those things you might actually do server side as well. Because we're dealing with Firebase Firestore, everything we're doing here is client side. We have all the data locally and we're just filtering it there. So yeah, a lot of different things you could do. Okay, let me fix these linter errors. Assignment to property of function by ID. I'm going to turn off this linter rule because I want to assign to the property of a function parameter because I'm using a reduce. So in my package JSON under ESLint rules, let's turn this off. Unexpected unnamed function. Subreddit view line 72. So right here, that actually doesn't need to be there. We can just do that. Code exceeds maximum line length of 100 on line 38 in subreddit.view. Let's fix that. Oh yeah, poor coder gave me a tip on formatting with Beautify. Actually, let me enable that because one thing he showed me was if you enable this specific setting, when you do a Beautify, it will automatically make your attributes like that. Let me see if this works. I haven't tried it yet. I think now's the perfect time to try. I gotta find the comment though. I've gotten quite a few comments. This one. This works for HTML formatting. So you create a JS Beautify RC, wrap attributes force aligned. Let's do it. So I think just in the root of the project here, JS Beautify RC. Put that in there. But then we need to use JS Beautify. I don't know if I have that installed. Is it Beautify? Let's see what issue he linked to. With JS Beautify extension and HTML.format.wrap attributes force. So this could work for built-in settings. Let's see if we can do that without this JS Beautify file. Let's get rid of that. And then in my settings, typically if you start typing in the settings, it'll tell you if this thing actually exists. So we're looking for HTML.format. wrap attributes force. Okay. And then now can we format the HTML? Format document. What just happened? It could be having an issue because it's a Vue file. Format selection. There's no selection formatter for Vue files installed. What about that? Format selection. Yeah, it doesn't know how. So, do I have JS beautifier? Prettier should also fix it. Wrong. Did I spell the RC file wrong? beautiful. Okay, I spelled JS beautify wrong. But I just want to make sure, does the extension, is this the extension that goes along with it? Oh, it is. Okay. I didn't realize, I already have this installed. I didn't realize this is with the same extension. And if I do a beautify HTML. Okay, so let's create the RC and spell it right. JS beautify RC. Is that right? And we'll do this. Okay, moment of truth. Oh wait, did it already do it? No, it didn't. Okay, moment of truth. I don't know if that did anything. Did I spell it wrong? I might have still spelled it wrong. JS beautify JS beautify RC. What was our linter error to begin with? Line 38. Oh, I think it did format that. Okay, never mind. It also did like nested elements, which is fine. It didn't put the attributes on new lines, but that's okay. Let's run the linter again. CSS 10 CJ0. Hey, Rodrigo. I did some serious CSS styling tonight. We're talking about linting and HTML formatting right now. I'm proud of the CSS that I wrote tonight. Unexpected unnamed method. Subreddit.view line 78. Let's fix it. Yep, we can leave that off. Just do that. Line 3 exceeds maximum line length of 100 in subreddit.view. Okay, if we use the formatter here, line 3, let's see. Beautify file, HTML, nothing happened. Oh, you know what? Did it indent my JavaScript even more? It did. Yeah, don't do that. Beautify selection. Hey! That actually did what I wanted it to. I don't know how I feel about it, because it's done some seriously weird things. I don't like it at all. I was kind of just messing, Rodrigo, but I mean, honestly, I think that, so this is personally how I would have done it myself. I would have done it like this, maybe a little bit of that, and then the closing tag is still lined up like that. So that doesn't exactly fix my problem. And then this would have been like that, maybe like that. See, it's not exactly what I wanted. We'll keep it though, because I've been spending way too much time on this. All right, subreddit.view line 98. Wait, didn't I just fix that? Maybe I command Z'd it. Oh, when I run with the fix command, it adds it. That's why. What the heck? Did you see that? When I run my linter, it adds it back. Crazy. All right, let's fix these other things. Home. This is longer than 100. Piece of cake. Beautify selection as HTML. There we go. State is already declared in an upper scope. When you're dealing with Vuex, you typically do that all the time, so I'm going to turn off no shadow. So in my package JSON, rules, no shadow, turn that off. Yeah, Merchan says that formatting gives me the creeps. I don't like it either. Identifier subreddit is not in camel case. That's okay because that's how our database is. Let's turn that off. Unexpected console statement. It is an error. I'm okay with that. Created is assigned but never used. Subreddit.js, store subreddit.js line 25. Yeah, we never use it, so we won't put it in a variable. We still want to do that. Auth is defined but never used. Source main.js. Okay, but I need this code to actually run. So I'm going to ignore that. And we can do that like this. ESLint disable. Wait, what? No, it's not. What? It's saying unterminated. And then we'll do ESLint enable. I think that's how that works. Let's see. I think that works. Use object destructuring. Source auth.js line 9. But then can you... Oh, that's some serious weirdness. Yeah, because then I'd have to store it in a variable. I'm going to do that. Sometimes you just need to do weird stuff. Quote me on that. Okay, so we just have 2 warnings. That's good. I'll push this up and deploy it. Whoa, a lot of stuff changed. Yeah. Let's think what else we have. So add filtering. And fixing the linter errors. 65, oh, that's the file that we did the formatting in. 65% of that file changed because of the formatting. Wow. Yes, thanks. Amy quoted me on that. We should put that on a sticker, sell it for a premium price. Sometimes you just need to do weird stuff. Cool. Okay, let's look at our feature list. Actually, I need to deploy. I forgot about that. So npm run build. Not that. We'll go into there and do an npm run build. But if we look at our feature list, there are two things we could potentially work on. It is up to you, the viewer, to decide. Should we, and actually we finished that, should we allow a user to upvote and downvote posts? Or should we allow users to add comments to posts? Vote now. Pick one. I'm going to go get some water. I'll be right back. If you look at it long enough, it makes sense. Oh, sorry about that, Tycho. Yeah, the mic. So my foot is very close to the mic stand, so it's very easy for me to bump the mic. Yeah, and Andreas is asking, what does npm run build do? It does create static files. So the browser by default does not understand Vue files. It doesn't typically understand like import syntax. So when you do a build, it runs through, actually we can't see the Webpack config here because it's hidden underneath the Vue CLI service. It hides all of that from us. We can actually modify it, but for the most part it's hidden from us. But it transpiles all of our code into ES5, or like basically makes it so that these newer features will work in older browsers. If we're using a preprocessor like Sass or less, it converts our CSS. It takes things like Vue files and turns them into actual JavaScript that the browser can understand. Basically takes all this stuff that browsers typically don't understand and turns it into things that browsers can understand, and it puts it in this folder called dist. And basically this JavaScript file and this CSS file, or CSS files, are all of our code base put in one place, transpiled, minified, concatenated, and added into this one minified HTML document. So when you build it, it makes it so that it's ready for production. It's as small as possible file size. It is transpiled so that it can support older browsers, and yeah, so that's what happens when you build an app. And then after I built it, I can go into that dist folder, and inside the dist folder is what we actually deploy. We don't deploy our source code that's like in GitHub. We deploy the built files. So did anyone vote? I guess maybe am I not looking at the latest chat? Did anyone vote? Should I do comments or upvotes? What do you think? No, seedling. Cool. So we should have, let's log in. Should have filtering of posts. Error. Management. Cancel. Eloquent. Cool. Very good. Comments. Comments. That'll be nice. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And really, it could just because right now we don't have the biggest community on our seedling website, so upvotes don't mean that much. Let's do comments. That'll be fun. Okay, if we look at our data model here, comments are associated with, like, a specific user can make a comment. It has a specific post and subreddit that it's associated with, and it has potentially, I don't think I'll implement this right now, but we can make it so that a comment has a parent comment ID, and then we could actually implement threading, so you can have like nested comments. Right now we're just going to do one level of comments organized by when they were added. So let's do that. So on the client side, we're going to need a submodule that grabs comments. So, and actually, I don't know if we'll create a separate submodule. I think on an individual subreddit is where we'll grab the comments, because we eventually pass in the subreddit ID, and this is where we're going to want to do a where query. So we're going to want a query for the comments where that given comment was added to this subreddit. But actually, we're going to do this on a separate post page, I think. So here's what I think should happen. Let's make sure this is running. You should be able to click on a post. It'll put the title of the post and the link up at the top. And then beneath it is where you can add your comments, like you actually see on Reddit. So I want to be able to, well, this I think takes us, yeah, that takes us to a link. But maybe we have a link right here that says comments. You click on that, it shows the title of the post, the poster, the description here, and then below it you can add comments. Yeah? Yeah, let's do that. So for that, we're going to need a totally separate page. Let's create a new file. We'll call this posts.vue. Create a little template here. And if we look at an individual subreddit, yeah, this formatting is so horrible. But one thing we want to show is the, let's see. Got user images, post title. So yeah, so let's just throw like an H1 that has the post title, and should be it for now. We need to link to that post. So on the subreddit page, let's figure out how we're going to add a link. I think first thing we'll do is in our router, we'll add a page for post.vue. So let's do r/ the name of the subreddit / post ID. So that way the ID of the post will be after the name of the subreddit. Technically this, because each post has a unique ID, this could work without the name there, but it'll make the URL look cleaner. We'll call this post, and this will be with the post component. So let's bring that in. Post. So we have a post page, we have a post route. Now let's link to it. It's not going to show anything right now. Actually, let's right here just do route.params.post post ID. We should just show the post ID on the page. So on a subreddit, right below where it was, we have the time. Let's show a nice little button that links to the comments page, or we'll say like view post or something like that. That's a button. That's what I want. Oh, that's the deployed version. That's why. So, hard refresh. If we go to r/JavaScript, we have this nice little button that says view post. Am I okay with the placement of that? Why not? I'm not going to fiddle with it, but if we click on it, nothing happens yet, so let's make it happen. So let's make this a router link, and this is going to link to, we'll need to put this on a new line. So this is going to go to the route with the name post, and our params are going to be, the name is the current subreddit that we're on, so route.params.name, and the post ID is going to be post.id, because this is being repeated inside of that v4, so we should have access to that. So now when we click that, we get r/JavaScript/ the ID of that post. We can go back and click another post. It gets a different ID. And so now when this page loads, we're going to need to request the post with that ID, and then we'll request all of the comments with that post ID as well. Woo, okay, that works, cool. So if we look at our store, I'm trying to think, do we need another submodule? Yes, because essentially we can do something like init, where we pass in the, well, I guess technically we still kind of want the subreddit ID. It's gonna be tricky. I don't know. Honestly, you know what? Rodrigo has just made a suggestion. Next one should be delete posts. Some posts are just posted wrong, and I can't delete them as the owner. I'm gonna do that because it's getting late here. You'll notice it's almost 10. I gotta take like a 30-minute train ride. I gotta pack up all this stuff. So I'm gonna do that because I think I can do that a lot easier. So let's do that. Right now we have like just this broken post page. For now, I'm just gonna hide this button so it's not there just yet. Okay, but let's add a delete button. I think that should be easy enough. Let's see. If we look at the, this would really be like Vuex Firestore docs for deleting a document. Vuex Fire. They have like a to-do app example. Is there like a delete? Yeah. Doc with that ID dot delete. Andreas, it's not a broken page, it's a placeholder. What is source? Oh, the items ref. Cool. Easy enough. So let's do this. If the logged in user has the same user ID as the user ID of the post, show a delete button. So here's what we'll do. We'll have a nice little button. This will say delete post. And we only want to show this if there is a user. Does this module have access to the user? Yeah, so we have user from auth. Let's take a quick stretch. So we have user. If the user exists and user.id is equal to post.userID, we're going to show this delete button. And let's give this a class of button. And I think it's button danger or is danger. Danger. Okay, so there we go. I only see the delete button on post that I created, so that's a good thing. And then if I'm logged out, I shouldn't see any delete buttons at all. That's a good thing. So now let's make this happen. And if we look at our Firebase rules, I think we already have this set up. So if we look at posts, allow create if the logged in user ID is equal to the what they're actually creating. Allow update if the resource ID is the user ID, and we also want to allow, actually I'll add it in a second because we'll see that we'll get an error, but we're going to need to allow delete if the request's auth ID is equal to the resource ID. So we have this button. When it is clicked, we're going to call our delete method. Delete post. We're going to pass in post.id. And we need a delete post method. I think I can define this, and I should define this in the store. So are we mapping any actions? Yeah, we're mapping actions from subreddit. So let's create an action called delete post in the store. Yeah, so we're going to have another action. We have create post. We're also going to have async delete post. This is going to take in we need the, I guess we don't really need anything. Nothing, and we need the post ID. And we're going to await. Posts we're already storing here in a variable. So I should be able to say post.doc with post ID dot delete. Simple as that. Let's see what happens. So let's log in. JavaScript, delete, missing or insufficient permissions. So this is where we update the rules. So the rule that we need to add is allow delete if the logged in user's ID is equal to the user ID of the resource that they're trying to delete. Publish that. There's a janitor rolling a mop bucket around. You probably just heard that. So we have these rules. Now let's try again. Go to r/JavaScript, click delete post, missing or insufficient privileges. Did I not do it right? It does say it could take up to 10 minutes to propagate. Let's see. Posts at that given post ID, allow delete if the user ID on that, no, that should be okay. Let's look at our the example we were looking at before. Let's make sure that we're actually passing in the post ID. Oh, it took a few seconds for the rules to propagate, but that actually worked. And notice all I had to do was delete it from Firebase. I didn't have to remove it from the array or anything like that, because earlier we already set up this binding reference. So anytime the posts change on the server, they automatically change on the client, and we don't have to do anything special. So I can delete my duplicate joke, and now it's gone. Maybe we should show a modal or something like that, but I don't know. Deleting is working. I'm going to call it there. Let's check a box and push up the code, deploy it, and call it quits for tonight. Yeah, so we are deleting a post, but when we get to adding comments or adding upvotes, one thing we would need to do is like a cascading delete. So like every comment that has been added to that post, we need to delete. And every upvote that happened to that post, we probably need to delete as well. And because you only have permissions to delete things that you create, with the way things are now, you couldn't delete comments that other people made on your post. We could add the rules that do that, but we probably wouldn't want to. So in a future video, we're going to look at using something like cloud functions where we can do like cascade deletes. So this can watch for deletions on the database and then automatically delete other things that reference that. And it doesn't need to have the logged in users rules because it's like a server-side code that's running to delete from the database. Cool. Merchan is asking a good question about the rules. Why does create use request.resource, but the others use only resource? So in terms of Firestore rules, there are different ways of dealing with either incoming data or existing data. So for create, we want a rule associated with the incoming data. So this is when someone is creating a new post, we're saying they can only create posts if the user ID property is their user ID. So basically, this one rule makes it so they can't spoof other users. Like they couldn't create a post where the user ID is some other logged in user's ID. So that's why we're looking at requests, because we're looking at the incoming data. And then for data that already exists, this rule says you can only update posts that you yourself created where the existing data has your user ID. And then this says you can only delete things where that existing post has your given user ID on that property. Cool. Question from Andreas. Before you go, a couple of questions. What are you teaching at Galvanize? So I'm teaching in the full stack web development immersive. I'll show you Galvanize. Yeah, I'm using their space right now, so why not? So Galvanize has locations all over the US. I'm working at the New York City location, but they're in Denver, Austin, Phoenix, San Francisco, Seattle. Yeah, so they're all over, and they have a web development immersive course, which is what I teach in. Basically, we teach full stack web development for pretty much anybody that has the drive, aptitude, and determination to learn that. It's a 24-week program. Yeah, we also have a data science program, and then various like part-time courses and workshops. And then the campus itself is a meeting space, so that's where you heard all that commotion earlier. Like people just actually host events here, and it's also like a startup workspace. So there's the co-working space, and there's lots of different companies that rent various offices around the building. This place is huge. It's like 55,000 square feet. It's like full of startups, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. Any updates? Also, another question from Andreas. Any updates regarding the Coding Garden, Coding Train collaboration? I don't have any updates, but I am fairly confident, or I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen. So like I was messaging Dan on Slack, and I guess shout out to Rodrigo, because I believe that was the message that Dan read on stream, and then one of his mods actually saw that message, put it in the Slack, and then tagged me, and then I responded. So it's probably gonna happen. Dan is extremely busy right now, and It's either going to happen like maybe end of July or maybe sometime in August. I'm in New York till first week of September. So it's probably going to happen, which will be pretty awesome. A question, is Firestore cheap? I don't really know. I've only used the free tier, but you can look into like pricing plans and usage limits. I have not tried to push this thing to scale. I've really only used it for like example projects. So for those, it's typically free because I'm not dealing with much data. I would look into spending limits and pricing plans if you want to know more about that. And Andy went to Galvanize. I did okay even without the aptitude. Come on, Andy. Don't sell yourself short. Cool. So let me deploy this real quick, and then I will be on my way. Oh, not at all. So Gagandeep asks, would you mind if I ask how long you've been coding? I would say roughly 15 years, so a very long time. I would say like professionally, like making money coding for probably 8 or 9 years. And before that, it was really just hobby stuff and like being in school, stuff like that. Okay, it built. Let's go into dist, and we will deploy it. Amy says, I would definitely watch a collaboration between you and Coding Training. I think it's going to be extremely fun. So I don't have any of my instruments here with me, but I want to like maybe buy a guitar on Craigslist or something, or maybe go get my own ukulele. We could do a song collaboration. We could do like he builds a game and then I build a high score API. I don't know. It could be fun. It could be really fun. Seedling. All right, give it a try. I will put this in the YouTube chat. But this is way more functional and looks way better than it did the last time I worked on this thing. So now you can log in. Now you can delete posts. It has your name and your image. It's coming along. There you go. Awesome. So that's it for tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and not promise anything. So I'm staying at an Airbnb right now, so I need to find a place to live. And so I think the next few days, instead of streaming, I'm going to find a place to live. And potentially I'll find a place where I can actually stream from as well. I don't know for sure. Streaming from here is okay. The only thing is I have to just take everything down every time I'm done. So check the Discord, check my YouTube page. I will eventually post when I am going to be doing a stream, but I'm going to go ahead and say no Newbie Tuesdays, probably not a Code Wars stream. Maybe I'll do something on Thursday, but it'll depend. Right now I gotta figure out my life. I gotta figure out where I'm living and everything like that. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Like I said, watch the Discord, watch YouTube. I'll let you know when I'm gonna stream next time. Really appreciate all of the participation in the chat and everyone chiming in. All of the code is on GitHub. I'll throw a link to this repo in the description. I'll need to push up like my latest changes, but you can see the deployed link there. I put it in the chat. I will also put a link to that in the description. Question in the chat: make a vlog a day in your work, maybe? That'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be cool. You can maybe meet my students too. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I will see you next time. Wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And here's this.